Hey guys, tonight we're heading into a place that may or may not still exist. You're walking through brambles and wild grass, your boots snagging on roots that twist like skeletal fingers. There's a road here technically, though road might be generous. It's more like the ghost of one. Two narrow ruts carved by long-forgotten wheels, leading out from the edge of a half-erased map. There's no reason anyone should be out here. No inns, no towns, just you, your breath in the cold air, and that sense, primal and buried deep, that you've crossed into somewhere you shouldn't be. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here, and let me know, where are you listening from tonight? What time is it where you are? And what keeps you up at night? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You feel it before you see it. The change in the air, drier, thinner, and quiet in a way that's not quite natural. Ahead, the road fades into nothing. Literally, the tracks just stop. No bend, no incline. They simply end. The land ahead is swallowed by mist, thick, low-hanging, almost blue in the fading daylight. You take a step forward, then another. The grass is shorter here, like it's been trimmed, though by what or whom is unclear. The wind smells faintly of iron and moss. Your foot lands on something hard and flat stone. A carved edge pokes through the soil, just the corner of something buried deep. You kneel, brushing away earth until a shape emerges, a paving stone carved with a strange crosshatch pattern. A road, a floor, you can't tell, but it wasn't made by nature. There's something beneath you. Farther ahead, you notice a shape. The leaning remains of a small boundary wall, made from shale and mud brick, half swallowed by ivy. It arcs in a semicircle, like it once enclosed something. A hamlet, a manor, a garden. You step over it, and the temperature drops a few degrees. It's subtle, just enough to notice, but your breath becomes visible in the air, and your arms prick with goosebumps. And still, no sound, no birds, no insects, no rustle of small creatures in the underbrush, just your own heartbeat, just the crunch of your steps. You pause, testing the silence. Nothing, not even wind, as if the world around you were holding its breath. You glance back. The path you took, those worn wheel ruts, is gone. You walk back a few steps, heart pounding faster now, but the brambles have knit themselves over where you just stepped. You try again, different angle, same result. The way you came has disappeared behind you. Of course, that's impossible. You could swear you hear something then. A faint bell, high-pitched, echoing through the mist. Ding. You freeze. No wind, no animals. No churches. Ding. It's coming from deeper in. You hesitate, then step forward. The bell chimes again, this time closer. You wonder who could possibly be out here with a bell. A herder, a traveler, a warning. Then you see it. A crooked post in the ground, maybe 20 paces ahead. It's weather-beaten, leaning heavily to the left. A single plank is nailed to it, pointing at nothing. The paint is almost gone, but you make out faint letters beneath the moss. Greyer's Hollow. Well, that clears things up, except there's still no path. No trail, just more fog, more quiet, more of that strange magnetic pull forward. You step toward the sign, and the bell rings again. This time, it's right behind you. You whip around, nothing. Just empty air and grass swaying in a breeze you can't feel. You stare at the ground. Your own footprints are there, but spaced farther apart now, as if you were running, but you weren't. Were you? The mist thickens as you step forward, curling around your legs like something sentient, reluctant to let you go, or perhaps urging you deeper. The signpost behind you vanishes into the fog, erased from memory as cleanly as chalk from slate. You press on. The air is oddly fragrant now. Smoke and damp pine and something older, unfamiliar. It reminds you of ancient things. Old trunks sealed in basements, parchment kept hidden in churches long since abandoned. A shadow rises before you, solidifying slowly. You approach with caution. It's a building, or what remains of one. A stone arch with no door, chipped at the corners, pocked by time. Above it, a slab reads, Mill House. The letters are crooked, carved by unskilled hands, or perhaps by someone in a hurry. You run your fingers along the grooves, cold to the touch, too cold. Inside, the stone floor is stained, smudged black near the center. A wooden beam hangs from the ceiling, cracked and barely holding. You almost miss the pulleys bolted to the wall, old millwork for grinding grain. But there's no wheel, no river, no grindstone, just this shell, sitting silently in the fog. Some believe the spirits never left Greyer's Hollow, clinging to what structures they can. Some say buildings remember pain. A low hum starts up, faint, mechanical, wrong. You back out of the mill house, breath held tight. Across a narrow clearing stands a cottage. Its thatch is caved in, but one window remains intact. The glass is intact, too intact. And behind it, a curtain sways as if someone just let go. You blink. The curtain is still. You take a few steps closer. A smear of something dark streaks the wood beneath the window. You don't want to guess what. You knock anyway, lightly, irrationally, as though courtesy still has a place here. No response. You push the door open. It creaks, predictably. Inside is dust, but not the kind you expect after years of abandonment. This is disturbed dust, settled in odd arcs, wiped clean in places. A chair sits beside a table with 3 cups. One still has a liquid inside. Still, warm. You step back, heart in your throat. Someone was just here, but where are they now? You scan the room. No fireplace, no bed. Just the table, the chairs, and those cups. A low shelf bears a few odd items. A spool of blue thread, a child's leather shoe, a rusted bell. A bell. You lean in. It matches the sound you heard earlier. Same. Size, same crack in the iron. You don't touch it. The fog outside pulses with movement, not wind, movement. You step back toward the doorway, eyes still on the bell. It vibrates slightly, as if remembering something. Historians still argue whether Greyer's Hollow ever existed as more than a ghost story. It first appeared on record in the journals of a traveling priest who, strangely, never named the year, only the season. In the 3rd harvest after the eclipse, I reached the village that wasn't there. His journal ends 2 pages later, mid-sentence. You exit the cottage. The temperature dips again, and the fog begins to glow faintly orange. Sunset. Fire. You can't tell. Shapes loom ahead. More houses, at least 5 or 6, dotting what appears to be a main path. You notice a twisted iron pole lying in the grass with fragments of glass around it. A lantern? No. A street lamp. You crouch to look closer. Embedded in its base is a small plate. Manufactured 1884. Curious. The priest's journal, if authentic, would have dated back at least a century earlier. How could the same village have been visited in two different time periods? Or did it appear and disappear at will? Some say it's a fold in time, a knot in the landscape where echoes live. Others believe it was built by those who wanted to be forgotten. Either way, the air around you hums, like it's waiting. One house to the left stands more intact than the others. You approach. A crooked sign above the door reads, "Madeline's Tea and Tinctures." The door opens without effort. Inside is strange comfort. Bottles lining shelves, labelled in faded ink. Soot root, widow's blue, ash bark, sleep spice. You're no apothecary, but some of these sound made up. Others sound far too real. A notebook lies open on the counter. The ink is still wet. You lean in to read the last line. He's not supposed to be here yet. You freeze. Your fingers begin to tingle. Outside, the bell tolls again, and from the back room, a floorboard creaks. You don't breathe. The creak echoes through the walls like a question that hasn't been answered in centuries. You should back away, leave the notebook, the room, the entire village. But instead, you move toward the noise, slowly, reluctantly, like you're caught in a current you can't see. The back room is shrouded in shadow. A single oil lantern hangs from a peg near the threshold, unlit. You reach for it, surprised to feel it warm against your skin, as though it was just taken down or just hung up. Either explanation is worse than the other. You peer inside. Dust, motes hang frozen in the still air. A desk, half covered in parchment, dominates the room. Glass jars filled with powders and dried roots clutter the shelves behind it. A tattered curtain flutters over a cracked window. No wind, yet it moves. The floorboard creaks again, but now it's behind you. You whirl around. Nothing, just the hallway stretching back to the main shop. And something subtle, just on the edge of hearing, breathing, soft, irregular, not yours. You inch backward, keeping the desk between you and the sound. On the desktop lies a map, not of the region, not of the country, but of Greyer's Hollow, hand-drawn, incredibly detailed. Every house, every path, even the trees, and one spot circled in red ink, the hollow bell. You don't know what that means yet, but the moment your eyes fall on the words, the bell outside tolls again. A long, deep, vibrating tone, then silence. Historians still argue whether the bell ever existed. No remains were ever recovered, yet almost every account, from the priest to the 1937 cartographer who claimed to have dreamed the entire village before finding it, mentions a single sound that rang out when no one was there. Some believe the bell calls people in. Others say it counts the ones who never left. You step outside. The orange glow has dimmed, replaced by an ashen sky. No sun, no moon, just grey. You head toward the path that curls uphill. The terrain feels unnatural, as though the ground beneath you resists memory. Pebbles seem to roll uphill, not down. Your footfalls make no sound. Trees lean toward the trail unnaturally, as if whispering warnings too old to translate. At the top of the hill, you find it. A stone circle. 8 slabs standing upright, evenly spaced, and inside them, nothing but moss and silence. No bell, just absence. Then a whisper. Not a voice exactly, more like breath through reeds. You step closer. The moment you enter the circle, the temperature drops again. Not like weather, like presence. The whisper sharpens, still unintelligible, but constant now. the slabs begin to shimmer faintly in the dim light. Lines of ancient carvings, previously invisible, now shimmer with damp silver. Spirals, hands, a bell, and one symbol that looks almost like an eye, with too many lashes. Some believe these stones are older than the village, that the village was built around them, not the other way around. Others say the stones mark a place where two worlds briefly brush shoulders. The whisper ceases, replaced by something worse. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. From somewhere behind the largest slab, you back away, heart racing, but your legs don't move. Then, nothing. The silence wraps around you like cloth soaked in snowmelt. When you finally dare to turn the corner, no one's there. But in the moss, a footprint. Bare, small, facing inward. You descend the hill. The houses are quieter now. The fog seems to thin, revealing more buildings further off. The village is larger than you first thought. You take the main path. It leads to a gate, or what remains of one. Rusted iron, half sunken into the earth. On its arch, Rest Haven Cemetery. A graveyard, but every stone is blank. Dozens of them, arranged in near-perfect rows, but not a single name remains. Weathered smooth. You brush your fingers along one. Cold, slick. A tingle climbs your arm. You look around. No trees, no birds, not even insects. One headstone stands out, shorter than the others. Newer. A doll leans against it, missing one eye. Tied to the doll's wrist is a piece of ribbon. A bell dangles from it. Tiny, brass, still ringing. You kneel. There's something carved into the back of the stone. Not a name, just a date. March 13th, 1846. It's the same date the priest disappeared. The same date the cartographer claimed to have entered the village in his dream. Some say time folds in on itself here. Others insist it doesn't pass at all. The bell tied to the doll still rings gently as you stand. And for a moment, you think, you hear a child laughing, somewhere deep among the stones. You don't follow the sound. Not yet. You move away from the cemetery, careful not to glance back. That laughter still clings to the edges of your hearing, too far to chase, too close to ignore. The kind of sound that could follow you forever if you acknowledge it. As you pass through the crooked gate, your hand brushes the cold iron. You swear it twitches. The main path narrows now, swallowed on both sides by rows of houses, each one more warped and inward collapsing than the last. Their windows stare out like empty eyes, not shattered, not boarded, just absent of reflection, absent of life. One house stands out. It's taller than the rest. 3 stories, black wood, half collapsed, on its left side. Its door swings gently, though no breeze touches your skin. A plaque remains above the lintel, worn but readable. The Weatherby Orphans' Home. The moment you read it, the air shifts. Heavier. You step inside, and the smell hits you like a forgotten lullaby. Dust, mildew, something floral, long decayed. The foyer is wide, walls lined with empty picture frames. A staircase curls upward, in a shape your eyes don't trust. One moment steep, the next shallow. A torn ledger rests on a table by the wall. You flip it open. Each entry is dated the same. March 13th, 1846. Every name is crossed out except the last. Clemency Weatherby, returned. Some say the orphanage burned down that day. Others claim it never existed at all, that it's a hallucination left behind by the village for travelers too curious to leave. You continue up the stairs. The steps creak in tones, not notes, low, then high, like a song being played backwards. Each landing reveals another hallway, and each hallway seems to loop back into the same space, though the furniture rearranges itself. On the third floor, a child's room. Dusty toys line the shelves. A porcelain doll watches you from the bed. Her remaining eye is bright, glassy, too, lifelike. You blink. She's now on the windowsill, still seated, still staring. You don't look again. Instead, you approach the desk by the corner. Etched into the surface is a poem. When the hollow bell has rung, and all the names have been unsung, don't forget the candle's gleam, or you will wake within the dream. There's a candlestick next to the etching, wax still pooled. At the base, a matchbox rests beside it. You light the candle. Nothing changes, and then everything does. The walls groan, the shadows deepen. A cold gust blows through the floorboards, yet the candle doesn't flicker. You step back into the hallway. Only now, it's not empty. Children stand along the walls, silent, pale, eyes black as riverstone. They don't move, but you can feel them watching. You walk, slowly. Their heads turn as you pass, one by one. You reach the end of the corridor, hand trembling. On the knob of a door marked with a red ribbon, you open it. The attic. Dust hangs like curtains. Moonlight streams through a circular window shaped like an eye. In the center of the room, a trunk. You kneel, lift the lid. Inside, folded dresses, worn books, a bell. The same bell you've heard tolling. As you touch it, a warmth surges through. Your fingers, then cold, ice cold. Some say the bell belongs to Clemency herself, that she never left the attic, that she waits quietly to ring it again should someone enter her room without knocking. Others whisper that she's the village's first ghost and its last orphan. The bell slips from your hand, rolls across the floor, and stops at the feet of someone standing behind you. You turn. No one is there, but the air smells of lavender. The candle finally gutters out. You descend. The house is empty, now. No toys, no ledgers, no children, only the whisper of footsteps in reverse, fading into the floorboards. You step outside. The fog is back, thicker. You try to retrace your steps, but the village has rearranged itself. New paths, new houses. Some are upside down, their chimneys buried in earth. Some lean so far inward, they nearly touch above your head. You walk anyway, past a tailor's shop. Its sign reads backward. Past a chapel with no door. Past a well that hums in a frequency your stomach doesn't appreciate. Then you see it, a flicker of firelight. Someone's. Home or something's? You head toward it, careful, deliberate, the bell's phantom echo ringing in your skull. The firelight flickers ahead, warm, orange, inviting. It cuts through the fog like a heartbeat. You move faster now, half believing you found a living soul. Maybe someone who knows the way out. Maybe someone who isn't a memory made of mist. You approach the cottage cautiously. It's a squat stone building with a thatched roof, its windows glowing from within. No smoke rises from the chimney, though the light suggests a hearth is burning. You pause at the door. It's slightly ajar, as if expecting you. A faded horseshoe hangs above it, nailed upside down. You remember something from an old superstition. Upside down horseshoes spill out luck. Still, you push the door open. Inside is comfort, not joy, not life, but the kind of comfort you'd expect from someone who hasn't had guests in decades and hasn't noticed. A kettle simmers over an unseen fire. A chair rocks slightly, as if someone just stood up. And in the center of the room sits a table with a game board etched into it. Not chess, not checkers, something older. 9 concentric rings, each divided by spokes like the skeleton of a wheel. On the wall hangs a painting. No, not a painting, a mirror. But the reflection isn't yours. It shows the room, yes, but younger, cleaner. A woman in black stares back from the rocking chair, unmoving. Her eyes are open, but she doesn't blink. She lifts her hand slowly and knocks on the inside of the glass. Once, twice. You back away. But the room remains calm, still. Some say this house belonged to a widow who waited years for her husband to return from sea. That she burned her journals when she realized he wouldn't. That she built the board game to pass the time and then couldn't stop playing with herself. Others say she never played it alone. The kettle whistles sharply. You glance at it, startled. Steam curls upward. The sound fades not into silence, but into a whisper, a voice, soft as moss. Don't move your piece unless you know the cost. You turn around. The board now has a small figurine on it. It looks like you. It's standing at the edge of the 6th ring. A second figurine, smaller, carved in what might be bone, waits across from it. The pieces don't move, but the rings, they shift. Click, rotate, reset. You look for the door. It's gone. In its place, a wall of knotted roots and soil, as though the forest has swallowed the exit. You sit. Because what else can you do? You reach for the game piece, and when you do, your hand trembles. Not with fear, but recognition. You've done this before. You move your piece one space forward. The room exhales. From outside, a sound, a hoof-scraping stone. Again and again, you rush to the window. No light, only fog. Only the low silhouette of something impossibly tall, with horns that stretch like tree branches. It doesn't move, but the hoof does. 1 tap, then 2, then silence. You turn back to the board. The opposing piece has moved. 1 space forward. You don't remember touching it, but the game continues. Some say the villagers trapped their regrets in rituals like this. Games, songs, rhymes, safe ways to relive what they couldn't forget. Others claim the board is a map, not of land, but of time. The 7th ring spins. The floor creaks. You realize the cottage is smaller than it was. The walls are closing in. You roll the figurine forward. 2 spaces. The light dims. The rocking chair rocks faster, then stops. The mirror reflects nothing now. No room, no fire, no you. You blink, and when you open your eyes, you're standing outside again. The house is gone. The fog remains. The board, somehow, is in your pocket. You don't remember putting it there. A new path stretches forward. This one narrower, winding downhill toward what looks like the edge of the village. You take a step, then another. The path forks. Left, a weeping willow grove. Right, a crumbling schoolhouse. Both feel wrong, but one feels slightly less wrong. You pick the right, toward the school. As you approach, the air shifts again. Damp, chemical, like ink and chalk and long-forgotten pencils. The sign above the door swings in the wind. Cinderglen Academy, Estrans 1829. Some say the school was cursed to forget its own students. that each morning the blackboard was clean, not from erasure, but from memory loss. You walk through the door. The desks remain, but the chairs are all turned backward, facing the back wall where a mural depicts a classroom full of smiling children. Only, as you squint, you realize they aren't smiling. They're screaming, painted mid-scream, mouths agape, eyes wide, and every child wears a mask. Some human, some not. You hear something behind you, a bell, but not the orphanage bell. No, this one is fainter, faster. Rung from inside your skull. You blink, you're at the front of the class now, and the desks are full. Children sit quietly, masks in place, waiting. The teacher's chair is empty. You hear your name, called softly from all their mouths at once. You close your eyes and speak the lesson, even though you don't remember learning it. The lesson ends with silence. The children nod in unison, slow, deliberate, and their masked faces tilt upward, watching you. You try not to look directly at any one mask for too long. Each one seems to change ever so slightly when your gaze lingers. Some smile wider, some frown. One sheds a tear of wax. You blink. The classroom is empty. Dust settles where the students once sat, thin as ash, motes dancing in the stillness. A single pencil rolls off a desk and clatters to the floor, its sound echoing too long in a room too small. You turn toward the chalkboard. There, written in pale, spidery handwriting you don't recognize, is a sentence. The lesson repeats until, learned. You leave the schoolhouse. The air outside smells different, like burnt paper and moss. The fog hasn't lifted, but it's thinner here, like it's been pushed back just enough to reveal more of the village. And there it is, just past the withered trees. A bell tower. Its silhouette leans, crooked and tired, as if it's holding a breath too long. You make your way toward it. With every step, a low chime rings, not from the tower, but from somewhere behind your ears. Someone once said the bell rang on its own for years after the village disappeared. Not by wind, not by birds, by memory. The door to the tower is warped and swollen, but it gives way with a grunt of old wood. Inside, the spiral staircase winds upward like a spine. You climb. Every few steps, you pass scratched words etched into the stone. She waits. Don't answer. Do not look back. You keep climbing. The bell chamber is open to the air. The bell itself, cast iron and moss-flecked, hangs unmoved. But someone has tied lengths of string to it. Hundreds of them, dangling downward, like puppet threads. Each one ends in a small metal charm. Thimbles, teeth, buttons, coins. They rattle as the wind shifts. A girl stands at the edge of the tower. She faces away, dressed in grey, hair plaited. Still, you don't speak, but she does. Do you remember what you left behind? You don't answer, because you don't know. She turns. Her face is not unkind, not cruel, just tired. She holds out a small book. The cover is cracked. The pages inside are blank. You've been writing this, she says. You take it. Your name is on the first page. But every entry is in a different hand, different ink. Some are smudged by what looks like tears, others by something darker. You ask her what it means. She shrugs. Memory is a group project here. The bell tolls. Loud. Low. It doesn't echo. It sinks through your chest, down your spine, Into your knees, you drop to the floor. The girl is gone. The sky outside the tower is different now, darker, a shade redder than before, and you see them. From this height, the shapes move like tide across the fields below. Figures, tall and slow, wandering in silence, not toward you, not away, just searching. Some believe those who vanished from the village became part of the land. Others say they were never real to begin with, just echoes shaped like people. You descend the tower. Each step is harder. The strings try to catch on your coat, your hands, your thoughts. At the base, something waits. A well, covered in a wooden lid, rotting and nailed shut. You shouldn't open it, but your hand moves anyway. One nail, then two. The third breaks off inside the wood, but the lid loosens. It doesn't creak. It exhales. A cold, wet breath. You peer inside, no bottom. Only a single lantern, still lit, floating mid-air. Its flame steady. The whisper comes again. Do you remember her name? You shake your head, but it doesn't matter. The well does. A rope hangs beside you. It wasn't there before. Some say the well was the first thing built in the village. Others believe it was the last. You climb down. The air thickens. The flame remains steady above and below. Steps. Stone. Spiraling. Leading somewhere old. You descend and descend. The whisper returns. Louder now. Not a voice. Voices. Layered. Familiar. A lullaby you can almost hum along to. Then silence. Then a door. Wooden. Carved with symbols. Circles within. Circles. A single handprint. Burnt into the grain. Yours? You don't remember. You knock once. Twice. The door swings inward and the village begins again. You step through the door. It doesn't slam shut behind you. It simply ceases to exist. One blink, and the hallway you just emerged from is gone. Only stone remains, and not the old, moss-covered kind from before. These are smoother, polished, unnaturally cold beneath your feet. The passage curves inward like a shell. No torches, no lanterns, and yet you can see. Or maybe you're not seeing. Maybe you're remembering the way forward. Ahead, the corridor opens into a circular chamber, its domed ceiling etched with constellations you've never seen. They shimmer faintly, shifting when you try to focus. At the center stands a statue. Human. Nearly. Its proportions are close enough to fool the eye, but the more you look, the more you realize. The arms are slightly too long. The fingers, too many. The head, tilted at an angle that feels wrong, and it's wearing a mask. Not one of carved wood or painted bone like the villagers wore, but one made of bark and riverstone, held together by hair, human hair. As you approach, you feel warmth, as if the statue radiates memory itself. You reach out, and for a moment, the world stills. You're in a memory, not yours. A marketplace, vibrant and loud. Laughter, bells, the scent of honeyed yam and roasted goat. People walk past you without seeing you. You try to speak, but your voice belongs to the air. Then, from the corner of the square, a little girl runs, laughing, into a masked dancer's arms. The same bark mask. Only now it's worn by someone alive. The dancer lifts the girl, twirls her once. She sings something low, soft. And then, darkness. Back. In the chamber, your hand is still on the statue. But now, its eyes glow faintly. Green, and it's weeping. not tears. Something black and slow. You step back, a whisper from the chamber wall. Witness, but do not take. Too late. Your fingertips are stained. You didn't feel it, but the blackness clings like smoke. There are 3 doorways in the chamber now, each marked with a different sigil, a spiral, a jagged line, and an open eye. You choose the eye, because of course you do. The hallway beyond feels narrower. The air tastes of copper. You pass niches in the walls, each holding offerings, cracked teeth, wilted flowers, a single blue feather, and masks. So many masks. Some smile, some scream, some are blank, as if waiting for a face. At the end of the corridor, another room. A library, maybe, though no books line the shelves, only boxes, jars, and scrolls wrapped in cloth. You open one. Inside, a single page, blank, but for a single phrase. Your story ends when you stop asking. The whisper returns. Stronger now. Would you like to remember? You hesitate, because you don't know what it means. The walls begin to breathe. Not metaphorically, they expand and contract like lungs. Paper flutters down from above, each sheet filled with names, some in languages you can't read, others in your own. Your name is there, twice. You don't recall writing either. The bell tolls again, far away, but closer than before. Something is walking toward the library. You don't want to see it. You want to run, but instead you wait, and when the figure arrives, thin, pale, in clothes a century out of date, it speaks in your voice, only older, tired. You left something behind when you fled. Do you want it back? You don't answer, because you're not sure, because you can't remember what it was, because maybe it remembers you. The figure steps aside, revealing a mirror. Its surface ripples. You lean in, but the reflection isn't you. It's the village. Whole, alive. Sunlight. Voices. Masks. Children running past the bakery. A woman sweeping her stoop. A goat perched confidently on a roof. You reach out, touch the glass. The warmth rushes through you, and the image vanishes. Now it's your face in the mirror, but aged, weathered, eyes like the statue. You pull away. The library is empty again, but something has changed. A book now sits where the mirror was, bound in red leather. No title, only that same phrase, burned into the cover. Do you remember her name? You don't, but your hands open the book anyway. You stare at the open book. Blank pages flutter, and then one ink blot appears, right in the center of the first page. It spreads slowly like a drop of blood into cloth. Letters grow from it, curling into ancient shapes that form words you half recognize, like memories dreamt in another tongue. The sentence reads, "She never took off the mask, even when she died." Your heart skips, not from fear, no, from recognition. You flip the page, another line, another story, another life. Each page is a person, each line a memory. This book is a cemetery, and somewhere in it, you know, your story waits. You reach page 13. The ink forms an image instead of words. The masked dancer, the little girl, a storm on the horizon. You blink, and you're no longer in the library. You're standing beneath darkened clouds. The village is in ruins, but not yet abandoned. People run, not from fire or war, but from something they won't name. Their eyes are covered, Not just with masks, with cloth, mud, hands, as if to see is to fall. A man screams from a rooftop. She called the old ones. She danced their names. And you see her, the dancer, older now, mask darker, heavier. It seems to sink into her face like bone into flesh. She's spinning wildly in the square, feet smearing ash into circles. She chants words that echo backward, the syllables arriving before the sound. And the villagers, they vanish, not all at once, one by one, as if a string pulls them gently out of the world. You try to reach for someone, a boy with a carved wooden frog, but your hand passes through him like smoke. His eyes meet yours, and he smiles. Then he's gone. The clouds roll inward. A shape stirs above them, vast and limbed. Too many joints, too few eyes. The dancer stops. She drops to her knees, whispers, one last word, stay, and then silence. A new page in the book, your name again. Only now it's followed by another. Hers. You say it aloud, and everything trembles. You're back in the library. But the books are gone. Only ash remains. And the air feels thin, like breath after weeping. There's a door in the wall now, barely visible behind a shelf. You step through, a stairwell, downward, always downward. The walls weep condensation, or perhaps the stones themselves remember being drowned. You descend. Each step feels longer than the last, until you arrive. At the well. You know it's a well, though no water waits at the bottom, only reflection. You lean over, and instead of your face, you see hers. The dancer. Only now, unmasked. But her face is shifting, never settling. She could be anyone. Could be you. She raises a hand, waves, and mouths a question. You can't hear it, but you know the answer. You whisper, yes, and the well answers back. A voice, rusted and sweet. Then show me where it happened. Suddenly, the stairs are gone. Only paths remain. 3. Again. One marked with smoke. One marked with salt. One marked with silence. You choose silence. Because now that feels safest. It isn't. The corridor is narrow, but you're not alone. There are others here, not visible, not quite, but present. Breathing, listening. You feel your heartbeat echo off stone. Ahead, a door. Behind it, a shrine. A single candle flickers. Its flame is black. You approach the altar, offer nothing. Still, it accepts you. A scroll lies atop the stone, unrolled already. It reads, "We don't bury the forgotten, we wear them," and in the corner a mask waits. Stone, bark, hair, yours. You reach out, not because you want to, but because you always have. As your fingers brush its surface, everything stops. A bell rings once. A memory returns, and the village waits. The bell's echo doesn't fade. It coils in the air, a low vibration that pulses behind your eyes. You're standing still, but the world tilts forward, pulling you, guiding you. It feels like gravity shifting, like something beneath the surface, awakening to your presence. The mask is still in your hand. It's warm. It shouldn't be. Your reflection in its surface isn't your own. It's flickering, as though caught between frames of two separate memories. One of them is yours. The other belongs to someone lost long ago. And then, with a breath you don't remember taking, you put it on. The fit is perfect. Too perfect. Darkness washes over you. but not the comforting kind. It's the darkness of the unknown, of deep water with no bottom, of forests that grow teeth when you stop looking. When you open your eyes again, you're back in the village. Only it's different this time. It's not crumbling ruins anymore. It's whole, vibrant, breathing. You're walking its streets now, in midday light that never quite touches the ground. Shadows stretch the wrong way. Windows blink instead of reflecting. The people here don't notice you, but they all wear masks. Some are wooden, carved with jagged smiles. Some are cloth, stitched from what might be skin. One is made entirely of insects. They move. You keep walking, deeper into the heart of the village. The bell tower looms above you now, its top shrouded in storm clouds that haven't arrived yet. The bell itself swings lazily, though there's no wind. Someone bumps into you, a child, masked, of course. His voice is muffled, like it's coming through water. She's not done dancing. You have to stop her. You try to ask, who? But the child is already gone, vanished into a side alley that wasn't there a second ago. A sign above a shop reads, "Memory woven while you wait." The shopkeeper waves you in. His mask is split down the middle, half joy, half grief. You step inside. Threads hang from the ceiling like cobwebs spun by someone with secrets to keep. Each one vibrates gently, as if plucked by unseen fingers. The air smells like dust and storm water. He points to a loom. Your life is on it, woven already, but frayed, unfinished. You left, he says. I came back. He nods. You always do. The loom begins to move without anyone touching it. Threads draw from the air itself, memories condensing into fibers. You see your first step, your last breath, a fire that never happened, and hands that held you underwater. You don't know which are true anymore. Then, the bell rings again. Louder this time. Urgent. The shopkeeper hisses. She's near. Outside, the villagers begin to gather in the square. Their movements are too smooth, too synchronized, like marionettes dancing without strings. They form a ring, a circle, a ritual. At its center, her, the dancer. Only this time, she doesn't wear a mask, but you do. And somehow, you understand the dance is meant to call something back, something old, something buried. You step into the circle. No, one stops you. You don't know the steps, yet your feet move anyway. The rhythm is buried deep inside you, like a seed watered with fear and silence. The sky splits. Just for a second, you glimpse stars that aren't part of any known constellation. Some of them blink. The dancer meets your eyes. You both freeze. Then, she says, with a voice that doesn't belong to her, "Do you remember now?" You shake your head. She reaches toward your mask. You flinch, but she doesn't touch it. Instead, she lifts her own face, peeling it back like old wallpaper. There's nothing underneath. Not emptiness, not a skull, just a mirror. And in it, you see the village again. The well, the book, the child, the frog, yourself, over and over. This is not the first time you've danced, and it won't be the last. The wind howls now, real wind. The villagers scatter, screaming through masks that twist into grotesque shapes as they run. Only the dancer stays. Only you stay. The bell rings a third time, but now it sounds behind you. You turn, and the library returns. Ash restored to paper. Stone rebuilt from memory. You're holding the book again. It's heavier now. It knows more. And you remember something the dancer said, though not with words. A feeling. The village never vanishes. It waits. You open the book to a fresh page and write, not your story. Hers, because someone has to. And as your hand moves, the ink turns red. Not blood, not quite. Memory, bound and stitched. You hear footsteps again, but this time they're yours. Leaving or returning. You can't tell anymore. The bell is silent now, but the silence is too complete. Like the world is holding its breath around you, waiting to see what you'll do next. You close the book slowly. Its pages are cool against your skin, the way river rocks feel after sunset. You don't remember setting the mask down, but it's gone from your face, and yet the weight of it remains, nestled behind your eyes like a memory trying to claw its way back out. You're in the library still, or some version of it. The walls are wrong, taller than before. Every shelf tilts slightly inward, like the books are listening. The window where light once spilled in is now bricked over, but pale illumination seeps from cracks between stones, as if the library itself is glowing faintly from within. A voice calls your name. You don't recognize it, but it's yours. It's coming from behind a tall stack of books, and it's humming. The melody is almost familiar. You follow the sound, threading your way between leaning towers of parchment and bindings stitched with symbols you can't read, and then you find the source. It's another version of you, sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by tiny folded notes, hundreds of them, each one delicately creased, tied with thin red string, and stacked into precise piles like offerings. This other you looks up. Their eyes are older, or maybe just tired. You should go, they whisper. Where? They don't answer. Instead, they lift a note from the pile and hand it to you. The string falls away on its own. You unfold the page. Inside, only a drawing. A house with no doors. A woman staring out through painted windows, and a well. Always the well. Below it, scrawled. In the corner in looping script, the village remembers. You glance back up. The other. You is gone. Only the note remains in your hand, now vibrating slightly, like it wants to be read again. You slip it into the book. The book hums. You leave the library. Back in the village, fog rolls in. Not a creeping mist, but a living thing. It curls around your ankles, then slithers upward with soft urgency. It whispers in a language made of teeth clicking together and bones settling into earth. You walk anyway. Because what else is there to do? The village doesn't resist your steps. It guides them, street by street, house by house. The buildings are half faded now, outlines without form, as if the village only remembers some of itself. You pass the apothecary. The door swings open, though no one stands inside. A row of jars clinks gently on the shelf. One is empty, one is full of ash. One contains your name, written on a piece of thread. You move on. The square is abandoned, except for one figure. A woman in mourning black, veil drawn, standing perfectly still at the center of the old ritual circle. Her hands are folded as if in prayer, but her eyes are wide, watching, unblinking. You approach cautiously. She doesn't speak. Only when you stand inches from her does she finally breathe. It's shallow, ragged. You left her there, she says. You try to answer, but your voice doesn't work. She lifts her hand and places a key in your palm. It's small, wooden, whittled from the kind of tree that doesn't grow in this hemisphere. You know what it opens. Of course you do. The house. The one that shouldn't be. The one on the edge of the village. The one everyone forgets until they're standing in front of it. You turn, and there it is. Not where it was yesterday, Not where it will be tomorrow, but here, now, waiting. You approach. Its windows are blind. Its door is absent. Only a keyhole carved into the wood like a mouth forced into silence. You insert the key. It clicks once. The door peels open like bark from a dying tree. Inside, it's not dark. It's too bright. White walls, white floor, white sky above, though the ceiling is there. You step in, and it begins. The air vibrates with song. Not music, memory. You see flashes. The girl dancing, the whisper in the well, the frog with too many eyes, the masked villagers frozen mid-step, the mirror-faced stranger who waved once and never again. And then, your reflection, only it's moving when you aren't. You blink, it doesn't. You breathe, it waits, and then it speaks, without sound. Which one of us stayed behind? You reach toward it, so does it. But it reaches through. Its hand brushes yours, and you fall forward. Into yourself. Through yourself. Into the well. You're underwater now, but you're not drowning. You're remembering. Every loop, every return, every bell toll, every lost step. This is not escape, it's reunion. You open your eyes. The woman in mourning is gone. The key is gone. Only the note remains. Now unfolded. Now blank, except for one line etched in fading gold. She's still dancing. And somewhere beneath your feet, you hear music begin again. The music continues. A waltz, almost. But played on instruments you can't name, in a rhythm that bends around your heartbeat. You feel it in your chest before you hear it. A pulse disguised as melody. You're standing back at the threshold of the house, or a house. Its walls are shifting subtly, like folds of heavy cloth in a windless room. Behind you, the village is silent, but not absent. Its presence clings to you. The houses watch, the windows breathe. You step forward, and the floor does not creak. It sighs. Inside, everything has changed again. There are now hallways. Dozens, endless. Some are lined with mirrors. Some with paintings of people who look almost real, almost alive, almost like you. Some hallways echo with laughter, or weeping, or wind that doesn't move the curtains. You take a left. The hallway narrows. It squeezes slightly, not enough to stop you, just enough to remind you you're being shaped as you walk, bent to fit at the end of the hall, a single door. The music grows louder behind it. The door is ajar. You push it open gently. And there, in the center of the room, is the girl. You've seen her before, in flickers and fragments. She's dancing again. Her feet don't touch the floor. Her limbs move with jerks, like a puppet badly controlled. A mask covers her face, blank and round, with two dark holes and no mouth. But it's the dress that chills you, because it's yours. Not the exact one, of course, but the fabric, the color, the weight of it as it sways with each turn. It's familiar. You've worn it in dreams you don't remember having. The girl doesn't acknowledge you. She dances in a loop, over and over, until the music stutters and stops. She freezes. Then she turns. The mask tilts, like it's listening. You wait, and then, softly, she speaks, but not in words. In a sound like glass breaking underwater. You feel the meaning, rather than hear it. Find the others. Suddenly, the walls around you split open, and you're back in the square. Only it's not the square anymore. It's the theatre. That cursed open-air theatre where once the entire village gathered to watch plays they swore they couldn't remember. Afterwards, the stage is lit. An audience of shadowed figures sits perfectly still. The girl is center stage now. She dances again. This time, her limbs loosen. The dance grows fluid, even beautiful. You sit. You don't remember doing it, but you are seated now. Next to you, a man with no face leans over and whispers. She remembers you. You nod. Because of course she does. You've watched this before. Haven't you? The curtain falls. Only there was no curtain and no applause. The stage is empty. The seats around you are now full of mirrors, each one reflecting you, but not as you are. Versions of you in different clothing, different ages, some smiling, some screaming, some still. Only one reflection moves without you. You focus on it. It leans forward and mouths, "Come back." You close your eyes. When you open them, you are alone again. In the village, under the red sky. The bells toll once more, but in reverse, notes unringing themselves like breath being inhaled by the earth. The buildings are nearly gone now, faded to outlines on the wind. Only the well remains. You approach. It's deeper than you remember. You hear no water, but you feel presence, the kind that watches from below. You kneel at the edge. A rope descends into darkness. Your hand reaches for it, but something stops you. A voice. Not the girl's, not the other, you. A new voice. Low, calm. You've seen too much. You turn, but no one is there. Only your shadow, except it's not mirroring you. It stands still as you move. Then it lifts its hand and points toward the church. You hadn't noticed the church before, but it's always been there. Of course it has. You rise and follow. The bells stop. The silence grows teeth. The church looms larger than any building you've yet seen, though its architecture is unassuming. Simple stonework, a crooked bell tower, moss and rot clinging like memories to its facade. You don't walk toward it so much as get drawn in. Your feet hardly touch the ground now. Each step feels suggested. The heavy doors open before you can reach for them. Inside, it's colder than the wind outside, colder than water, colder than the kind of quiet that sits behind your own eyes. Candles line the aisle, though no flame dances. They're just glowing, steady, unnatural, like stars that forgot how to twinkle. You move between the pews, and the figures sitting in them do not move. Not one. They look like villagers, or actors, or possibly both. Each wears a mask, simple wooden things with exaggerated smiles or tears or blank neutrality. The masks look old, worn smooth by time, or maybe handling, but no two are the same. You reach the altar. There's no crucifix, no symbols you recognize. Instead, there's a mirror, oval, ornate, too polished to belong here. You see yourself, perfectly clear, and then, not yourself. A different version flickers in, eyes glowing, mouth sewn shut, hands raised in silent pleading. Then, back to you, and now behind you, every figure has turned their head, not their bodies, just the heads. The masks tilt in synchrony. You don't flinch. You ask the question you've known was coming. What happened to this village? The mirror replies. Not with words, with sound. A soft, layered hum, like bees inside a bell jar. And in the surface, images ripple. You see the village long ago, alive, bustling, laughing, breathing. but always surrounded by mist, always watched by trees that bent toward the rooftops as if listening. There were plays, yes, performed every new moon. They began as entertainment, then became ritual, then became necessary. You see the same girl, again and again. She always danced, and the villagers always clapped until one day they didn't. Someone forgot a line. Someone laughed at the wrong moment. Someone refused the mask, and the mist came in, not fast, but certain. The village faded over years, not hours. Houses collapsed inward like sighs. Names were forgotten mid-sentence. Faces began to blur. And one day, the girl danced alone. You are weeping. You hadn't noticed until now. The mirror returns your own reflection once more. Now you see yourself, not just here, but throughout the village's past. In the crowd, in the window, in the well, in the mask. You've always been here, haven't you? You back away. The mirror does not follow, but the masks do. Every figure in the pews stands now. They step into the aisle. One extends a hand, offering a mask, not to cover your face, to replace it. You shake your head. The mask tilts, a question unspoken. You feel it in your teeth. Will you stay or will you finish the story? A door creaks behind the altar. Light spills through, not warm, but white. Cleansing. The music starts again, faint, familiar. You walk past the outstretched hand, past the mirror, past the final pew, through the door, into the light, and immediately, darkness returns. You're standing in a clearing, same forest, same cold. But now there's a fire in the center, and around it, the villagers. But they are just shapes. They cast no shadows, and none of them turn. Only one seat remains empty. You walk to it. You sit. They all vanish. The fire dims, and a voice, gentle and old, whispers behind you. Now tell us what happened. You turn, but again, no one's there. Just the mask, your mask, lying in your lap. Its mouth is open. You swear it's breathing. You don't pick up the mask, but it doesn't fall either. It just waits, balanced perfectly, impossibly, as if the air itself is holding it steady. The fire in the clearing flickers lower, though no wind moves. No branches sway. No creatures chirp. It's a hush too deep to be natural, and you realize something that twists your stomach. The silence is listening. You glance down. The mask has changed, subtly. Its once blank eyes now slant inward, just enough to suggest sadness or hunger. The longer you stare, the more expressive it seems, as though it's learning your face. You stand and step back, and the moment you do, the mask drops flat to the ground. Sound returns like a wave, soft, layered, distant, footsteps on leaves, breathing not your own. A faint, rhythmic tap, 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 like knuckles against wood, and then you remember. That tapping, it echoed earlier in the schoolhouse, and again in the inn, always 3 times, always just behind a door you chose not to open. You turn slowly, there's no door, in the clearing, but something is forming behind the trees. Lines of stone, a frame, an archway. It doesn't look built, it looks grown, as though the forest had decided to shape itself into a passage. Above it, etched in lichen, the words, "Return, to tell the tale." Your feet move on their own again. Not pulled, but guided. The air thickens. Your breath fogs out, though you're not cold. Through the arch, you see not darkness, but a hallway of doors, all closed, all identical, except one. It's slightly open. From behind it glows that same two-white light from the church. You approach. You open it fully. It creaks like a scream swallowed halfway. Inside, a room with no ceiling, just stars, thousands of them, more than should be visible from Earth. Each pulses softly, and beneath them, a single chair, wooden, hand-carved, empty. You do not sit, you wait. And something steps out from the shadow behind the chair. It's you, but not quite. Older, perhaps. Eyes deeper. Smile narrower. The other you speaks without moving lips. You've been telling this story for longer than you know. You want to ask what it means, but you can't move. Not from fear, from familiarity. You have been here. Maybe not in body, but in dream, in retelling, in memory passed through bloodlines and lullabies. This story was never about discovery. It was about return. The other you gestures to the chair. You don't move. You don't need to, because now you understand. It isn't your turn to speak. It's your turn to listen. The room begins to dim, one star at a time, until only one remains. It pulses in rhythm with your heart, or maybe the village's. Maybe there's no difference. You close your eyes, and when you open them, you're outside again, back at the edge of the village. The trees lean in approval. A bell rings once, far, far away. The mask is in your hand now. You hadn't noticed picking it up. And as you turn it over, something new is carved inside. A name. Yours. But not the one you remember. The one they used. The one only whispered in dreams. You drop the mask. Or maybe it drops you. And when you step forward, the village is gone, as if it never was. No clearing, no footprints, just forest, unbroken. You look behind you, no path, just trees. You're alone, but not really. You hum the tune, the one that girl danced to. You never learned it, but somehow it's in your bones. You walk forward, humming. Somewhere in the world, a bell rings again. You keep walking. The forest is endless now. It has no beginning, no end, just shifting light between branches, and the soft hush of leaves whispering your name, though no mouth ever speaks it aloud. Each step carries you deeper into something not quite place, not quite memory. You begin to notice small things, outlines etched in bark, symbols underfoot in fallen leaves, a spiral here, a cross with no arms there, repeating, faint, like forgotten handwriting from a dream. You recognize them, not because you've seen them before, but because they've always been part of you. You just didn't know where the memory came from. You pass an old stone wall, moss-covered, and half sunk into the earth like time itself tried to bury it. On the other side, nothing. Not a building, not a ruin, just wall, a boundary between what was and what still waits. You rest your hand on it. Warm, it pulses beneath your touch like a heartbeat. And for a moment, you hear it. Muffled voices, overlapping, laughter, crying, a lullaby maybe, the soft drone of ritual, chant. It fades. You pull your hand away, but the warmth lingers in your skin. You continue on. Soon, You find yourself at a crossroads. Not marked, not mapped, but instinctively significant. 3 paths fork before you, one lined with hollowed trees, one flooded in shallow water, and one where the fog gathers low and thick. You hesitate. You already know which one you'll choose. It's not a decision. It's a return. You step into the fog. Your feet barely make sound now, like the ground itself is cushioning your passage. Shapes move ahead, tall, robed, antlered figures, with faces hidden behind carved masks. They do not acknowledge you. They do not need to, because you were one of them, maybe still are. They walk a circle, a slow, solemn ritual. Each step lands with purpose. One raises a hand, the others stop. They look at you, though their masks never shift. In your hand, the old mask pulses, dimly, like a lantern at the end of its wick. And then you see her, the girl from the village, still barefoot, still humming. But she is no longer a child. She stands across from you, mirroring your posture. In her hand, another mask, your twin. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. She walks the circle. You follow. The others begin again, slow, deliberate, ancient. The dance. It doesn't need music, only memory and belief. As you step, things change. The fog lifts slightly, the forest dims further. The stars above shift into new constellations, ones that no longer belong to the modern sky. This is not a dance for entertainment. It is a binding. A story passed not by pen, but by motion, by presence. You blink, you're alone again. The clearing is gone, so is the path, but the mask is gone too. And in its place, carved into your palm, is the spiral, the mark of the vanished, of those who carried stories too heavy to speak. That girl's voice lingers behind your ear. Some places aren't haunted, they are the haunting. You walk. You don't know where, but the path accepts you. You are now part of it, and perhaps you always were. You walk without questioning, because questioning is what pulls the past too close. The forest bends around your steps, not resisting, not guiding, just witnessing. Trees shift subtly, their silhouettes forming shapes too deliberate to be accidents. Arches, eyes, mouths. You try not to blink too long. Eventually you come to a field, not a clearing, a field. One that shouldn't exist this deep in the woods. It's too flat, too symmetrical, too blank. But it hums, not with sound, with absence. There is no breeze, no birds, no crickets, only you, and the wind that starts when you enter. It pushes you forward, not harshly, not urgently, but constantly, like a tide that forgets how to pull back. In the center of the field, something waits. You approach. It is a stone chair, not a throne, just a chair, worn, empty, but warm. And before you can think twice, you sit. The sky changes. Clouds form symbols, stretch into lines, distort like smoke rings held in the hands of something immense. You hear them now. The vanished, not screaming, not pleading, just whispering. Softly, in harmony. You recognize words, snippets of stories. Your name, spoken in a dozen different dialects. The chair grows heavier. No, you do. Something inside you unfurls, slowly, painfully. A knot of memory that wasn't yours, but now is. You remember the village, not as a visitor, as one of them. The rituals, the night of silence, the final bell, the door that closed itself from the inside, and the choice, that ancient pact made not with blood, but with forgetting, not exile, not death, just removal, of vanishing. Because some stories cannot be ended, they can only be erased, unless someone brings them back, unless someone like you sits in the chair, a caretaker, a vessel, a voice. You stand, the chair is gone, in your hand, a bell. It rings once, soft but certain. It will keep ringing, each night, in dreams, in old walls, in the quiet breath between questions, and someone else, someday, will follow the sound. You walk again, the forest opens, a path forms behind you. Your name is no longer your own, but your story is, and it will wait, under moss, behind bark, in the echo of bells, for the next curious soul. The wind stills, the leaves hush, and somewhere, faint and far away, a village begins to fade once more. But this time, you remember, and that changes everything. The leaves are softer, now. Each step you take slows, not from exhaustion, but from comfort. Like the story itself is letting go of your hand. You look around one last time. The shadows don't chase you anymore. They simply watch. Curious. Familiar. The path behind is still visible, but only just. Ahead, the trees open into a calm, starlit glade. You lie down, not because you must, but because you can. The sky above you is unfamiliar and yet impossibly kind. The constellations drift slowly, reshaping into stories that don't need words. Just feeling. The bell in your hand no longer rings. It rests. Quiet. Like the village. Like the memories. Like you. Sleep reaches for you, slow and soft as fog across ancient grass. And just before your eyes close, you hear one final whisper. Beneath, breath, beneath dream. We were never gone. You just stopped looking.